To say that Hong Kong confirming overnight that its economy has plunged into its first recession in a decade. The economy shrank by 3.2% from the previous quarter. That marks the second straight quarterly decline. And the financial hub, of course, has been suffering from violent protests, the U.S.-China trade war, and a faltering stock market. Meantime, the week of rage in Hong Kong continuing to boil over. And we're going to get over to NBC's Matt Bradley, who joins us now with more on that. Matt.
Hey, Andrew, yeah, you're right. This has been now in its 6 months of protests. Remember, this originally started with that extradition bill that was floated back over the summer. That has been mostly withdrawn, but the protests are continuing. And as you can see, universities like Polytechnic University behind me, they're becoming citadels for this continuous protest movement. You can see now that they've put up, umbrellas trying to block CCTV cameras from taking images of the protesters who have basically occupied this campus and have shut it down almost entirely. Now, students here, especially foreign students, they're having to leave, and even the students who are based here in Hong Kong, they're just going to be taking courses online. They're basically ending classes. So right here at Polytechnic University, we're seeing not kind of like, as I mentioned, citadels. They're almost becoming universities for protest. Protesters are learning things like how to make a Molotov cocktail, how to throw a Molotov cocktail, how to attack the police, how to defend themselves. So all of this is really transforming the city. And you mentioned this is kind of a microcosm of what's happening in the broader sense throughout the entire city. We're seeing a slowdown as these now 6 months of protests really take an effect on just day-to-day business. Behind this university is that Cross Harbor Tunnel. That's a major artery connecting Kowloon, where I am, the northern part of Hong Kong, and the mainland, or the main island of Hong Kong. That's been closed now for at least more than a day. Protesters have threatened to shut that down on several occasions throughout the last 6 months. But now we're really seeing a lot of the infrastructure taking a hit. And as you mentioned, that decline for the first time in 10 years of economic production. It's unclear whether Hong Kongers are going to continue to stand with the protesters if their pocketbooks are what's affected. Andrew?
Right. Hey, Matt, real quick, just in terms of being on the ground there, day to day, like what percentage of people are going to work, going to stores, going to shops, going about their daily lives or not?
Yeah, Andrew, it's surprising because, of course, when you see these images and they look almost like Les Miserables, I mean, they look like scenes from some sort of dramatic rendering of a protest, with fire and people throwing, police firing tear gas. It really is quite dramatic. The reality is less so. These protests, if you're here in Hong Kong, they're easily avoidable. You can walk around them. People can still go to work. There are problems snarling up traffic, snarling up public transportation. But for the most part, it's mostly an optics issue. It's not so bad living here. The protests, come from time to time. But like I said, you can avoid them.